CM Punk, a man who was never supposed to be the face of the WWE but became the voice of an entire generation anyway. A man that was known to be the very best in the world, a loudmouth that was never in fear of standing up to what he believed in. In 2014, CM Punk didn't just leave WWE, he walked away from the system that he spent years fighting against. But nearly a decade later, everything changed on November 25th, 2023 when CM Punk had finally made his grand WWE return. But now that he's here, he's been a world champion and a main eventer. This was everything that he had desired for. But after having CM Punk in the WWE for nearly 3 years now, it has left the fans with just one question. Is this the same CM Punk we waited almost a decade for? Or is this just a version of him that has finally made peace with the system he once fought? Hola, hola everyone! My name is Nando, and for today's video, we're here to discuss the problems that I, and probably many other people have had, with CM Punk's second run in the WWE. So let's cut all the yap and start with our first category of the problem, which is his booking. It all started on November 25th, 2023, where CM Punk had returned to the WWE after nearly a decade of absence. This was something the fans had been dying to see, the outburst of chants of CM Punk's name that people have been making in the hopes of seeing CM Punk come back again to the WWE. But now with him being back, one must ask, what are his intentions? Well, on the very next week of Raw, CM Punk came out to answer those questions, firstly stating that he's now a changed man and that he's finally home. Anyways, the main takeaway of this promo from Punk is,
I'm not here to make friends, I'm here to make money.
And you'd like to think this line was teasing towards some kind of heel turn coming up for Punk, as he is more interested in greed than anything else, but unfortunately, for such a memorable line in that promo, the dude has done nothing but make friends. Oh, and also, he didn't even turn heel yet, so there's that. Now before we head into the real problems, let's talk about the good things that Punk accomplished during the second run. Like for one, when Punk went on to have one of his best runs so far in his program with Drew McIntyre, which started as a pivot due to Drew accidentally injuring Punk at the 2024 Royal Rumble match, which took a good chunk of Punk's run in 2024. But even while injured, Punk still gave it his best work. It was a feud that escalated towards mentioning Vince McMahon.
And everybody's finally starting to realize what I've known all along. Drew McIntyre has always been the chosen one. Chosen one? Who chose you? Who? What was his name? Huh?
Also, Drew McIntyre, who was the MVP of 2024, took it upon himself to use social media as an advantage to boost this feud to take shots at Punk's AEW run. Like taking a picture with the guy that costed Punk's job in AEW just a year ago is crazy! But things like that is what made the feud so great. So great to the point that it led Triple H to pull the trigger in bringing back the Hell in a Cell match and even allowing both men to bleed in the match. That's what you call movement, brother! He entered his first Royal Rumble match in a decade and came second. The next Rumble, he set the seeds of a potential Roman and Punk dream feud. Up until Seth had to get involved, which was pretty upsetting. But this megastar triple threat feud is what helped Punk get an opportunity to finally main event WrestleMania for the first time. It's something that he's been clamoring for decades, and now he's finally here to claim what he should have gotten a long time ago. He feuded with his wrestling soulmate John Cena in his retirement tour. He won the world champion twice and is still currently the champ and can still go. He's managed to convince his wife to wrestle again, and they even team together. You can tell that Punk is satisfied in the position he's in, kayfabe booking wise, because he's comfortable where he's at. He's the top guy, world champion, top merch seller, and his wife works with him. So that's lovely. But now with all the nice things getting out of the way, let's start with all the major bad things that's been dragging and downright sabotaging with this run right now, and that is literally from his entire program with Seth frickin' Rollins. Let me explain. So the week after Punk's return promo, CM Punk said he decides to stay on Monday Night Raw, but that's when he would later get confronted by Seth Rollins. Now this has been a feud that's been boiling for so many years, a feud that's mostly boiled up from the fact that Seth has been very vocal of how sick and tired he is of CM Punk's constant complaining towards WWE.
The funny thing is, for me, for a guy telling me that I need to look for relevancy, here's someone who's been, in the doldrums for the last few years because he got his butt kicked in the octagon so bad he didn't want to show his face anywhere. Say whatever you want. play it however you want. That's what Punk always does. But at the end of the day, if he wants to come on a show and run his mouth about me and about a company that he has no part of for the last 5 years, then of course I'm going to stand up for us. This is a place that has given me everything that I've ever wanted in my life.
Would you like to see Phil Brooks back in WWE?
Oh, Philly Phil, stay away. Stay away, you cancer. Get away from me forever.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I don't like Phil. I don't like Phil. He's a jerk. Oh, did we just figure that out? I don't want him back. Go do something else. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. See you later.
And the funny thing about it is that Punk is barely giving a damn to acknowledge his presence. Like, this was essentially their feud. But with both men being in the same company, you'd think to yourself, oh boy, two big megastars with real heat going at each other? Now this is the kind of story that WWE needs in that product. But then the feud started and well, after nearly 3 years since that segment happened, they are still feuding! It's probably one of Punk's worst programs right now, as he's being dragged to have the same stale segments with Seth Rollins, with very to little progress in their program. Seth hates Punk because he's a hypocrite and a poison to wrestling, and they've used the same material since day one. This was problem number one in the case for people like me, who was losing the excited interest of Punk because he's left to do the same repetitive segments with Seth Rollins on Raw every single week. It got worse once Paul Heyman betrayed Punk in favor of Seth to help start their new faction together in the Vision, because this was the beginning in starting their War Games feud. And we all know how terrible those feuds are, because War Games feuds are essentially 5 to 6 months of the same story you've seen with every faction War Games feud. They talk, they brawl, they talk, then brawl. It's the same thing happening over and over and over again with very little storyline progression, and when the War Games match happens, it's the same as any other War Games match, and then you forget about the very next night. 5 to 6 months of a stale story to build towards a match that you'll forget about the next day. If that doesn't tell you how bad War Games is, I don't know what to tell you. Then there's another issue. CM Punk's promos just do not hit the same. Now, promos are what CM Punk is known for the most. His attitude and charisma is what made people gravitate and relate to the problems that he had felt. Remember back in the day, wow, I really sound old saying that. But remember a time back in 2011 when Punk had a chip in his shoulder for what he felt he needed to say. He wasn't happy, but more so motivated to speak his mind on what he felt wasn't right and needed to change, and he knew he was the only one man enough to bring up the issues and be the man that breaks the barrier in bringing that change to happen. But nowadays, he's just a dude cutting promos. I mean, in the sense that in Punk's promos, while being known as one of the best mic talkers of all time, is mostly cutting skippable promo segments, where he's coming down to the ring and being so happy to be in insert name of area that he's in, and then being mildly upset about an issue he's dealing with.
Is it good to be alive in Everett, Washington on a Monday night or what?
Is it good to be alive on a Monday night in San Jose or what?
Is it great to be alive on a Monday night in Nashville, Tennessee or what?
And this was something that AEW wrestler MJF predicted and called him out for.
This is no longer CM Punk. This is PG Punk. I mean, you have been robotically kissing ass all over the place. You know what? I'm going to do a little impression of you real quick. It sure is great to be back here in insert name of town.
There's a sense of the fact that you can see that his promo segments are not at his most motivated, because there will be times where he will cut a fiery and passionate promo of how he's ready to go to war with the person that he's pissed off with, but in the very next week, you know, he's kind of a chill guy. He's just not consistent with it. When John Cena turned heel and joined The Rock, it shocked the world to its core. And with Cena not being on Raw the very next night to address everything, they had Punk cutting a promo calling The Rock a bold fraud, and that John Cena was nothing more than a fake hero that just wanted to sell kids on his product. This was a promo that was said to be one of Punk's best in his current run, and then well, the promo went nowhere. Not even Cena acknowledged the call out, and Punk just continued feuding with Seth Rollins. So like, what was the point of that? Punk seems to be more in a position where he's more motivated depending on who he feels he can match his fire with. Like, look at his promo between Braun Breaker and Jey Uso, like it's night and day. But in regards to Punk's motivation, it can be caused by another thing that I don't think people are discussing enough, and that's when wrestling started to giving out contracts that were just guaranteed. Because back in the day, while wrestlers were given guaranteed contracts, the only difference between then and now were the bonuses, because wrestlers were paid based on if they were selling tickets or on how high their match was on the card. Because as Punk went on to explain,
but do you feel like the younger guys now have that combative nature? Like, it should be me. I want it right now.
Some do and some don't. I mean, the business has radically changed. So it's like, it was a different place when I signed. The thing with the title too is also it means you made more money. Mm-hmm. That does not exist anymore.
Oh, really?
No, it's I mean, it's good and bad. Mm-hmm. Like, we all make more money now, which is thumbs up.
Making money's sick.
Yeah, it can be. But my paycheck was always predicated on how many people were in the building.
Yeah.
So I was driven towards ticket sales and the business of it. And when you're in the main events, you got paid more money. And now everyone's just kind of on salary. So I think that's good and bad. It's good for the boys, but also I feel there's not the same ambition. I always wanted to be in the main event because it got me more money. You know, and now I think now I don't care if I'm the opening match because I'm still going to make the same, and I can shower and watch the show now.
It's like he stated, he's secure and he will make the same amount of money no matter what he does. Back then you had to fight for your spot to secure it because that's what made you the most money. That was when Punk was at his most passionate back in the day because he had to fight for his paycheck. But nowadays, think about Punk in his position. What is there to really fight for? Because no matter what he does, he's still the top guy, he still makes the same amount of money no matter how big or little his effort is, and he still ends up being the most paid active wrestler on the roster. In his AEW run, it was a very different story, but he still faced the same issue as well. He came back to wrestling in AEW with a big chip on his shoulder because he was gone from the wrestling business for over 7 years, and he had to prove that the legacy of CM Punk was real. His AEW and second run in WWE is night and day. In WWE, he's more relaxed and comforted with a position that he knows he won't lose. But even in AEW, he still had problems with the guaranteed pay there as well.
Like, I like competitors. I like guys being able to be like, oh, well, I can go over here and make X amount of money. That's good for the business. It's good for the boys. When you're there, you know, guaranteed money almost kind of ruined pro wrestling, you know? Like, if you had to get paid based off the house, the place would be drastically different.
Because it would drive you, it would push you.
You would think.
So I can understand why Punk, who is currently 47 years old by the time I'm recording this, is at the point where he doesn't have to give in his all. But there will be some little moments where you can see that his fire still burns. Boom! That was a reference to his old theme song. And now for our last topic of this discussion. I think this is what you've all been waiting for me to discuss in this video. But that next topic is CM Punk truly a changed man, or is he a hypocrite, or is he a man with no understanding of where he morally stands for? Now Punk, as I've mentioned, his best work is regarding to his promo work, but it's Punk's relatability that's helped people stay attached to him for so long. As a kid, I loved John Cena because he taught me to never give up, while I love CM Punk because he taught me to stand what I stood for. CM Punk is a popular public figure, and yet he was still an open book and wanted to let the world know of what he liked, disliked, and what his true opinions were, no matter how controversial or unspoken it was. He spoke out about the problems that the WWE had while others were too scared to open up, and he was doing that while he was and wasn't signed to the company. But since he's come back for his second run, it seems as though, without any explanation, he had begun to go against everything that he had proudly stood for. Now let's start off with the big example, the big elephant in the room, the Saudi drama. It all started when CM Punk kinda returned to WWE. Back then, in the one episode that he wasn't on, The Miz was a guest on the show and made a joke mocking CM Punk, stating, "Oh sorry, I didn't change the culture, my bad, my bad." This then led to infamously, peacefully, and respectfully respond with, "Go suck a blood money covered dick in Saudi Arabia, you effing dork."
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
It jumped up a notch.
It did, didn't it?
But hey, those were his views. But when CM Punk returned to WWE, the big question surrounding his run was, well, when are you going to be wrestling for the Saudi Prince, my boy? Many were in denial and thought, there's no way he could do it. There's no way. He said what he said, and he's completely against going to Saudi.
You hate coming to Saudi. I've never been to Saudi. I don't hate coming to Saudi.
Oh. It was probably nothing. Doesn't mean anything, right? Right? So a month later, CM Punk confronted John Cena to have a shot at his world champion, and John Cena admitted that he'd only accept CM Punk's challenges if they only do it at Night of Champions, which is in Saudi Arabia, to which Punk accepted. Well, shoot, there's nothing defending that. So Punk, for many years who was against Saudi Arabia, is now back in WWE and is completely acting fine about wrestling in Saudi Arabia. Even driving the point of planning a scripted segment where they had a planted fan confront CM Punk about his Saudi tweet, leading Punk to say, "I'm sorry guys, I was just grumpy. I was mad at The Miz. I don't actually hate Saudi Arabia." Yeah, you're right, Punk, because there's definitely nothing that proves that you have anything against WWE's partnership with Saudi, right?
How many Saudi Arabia shows do they have to do to bring back CM Punk?
I'm not doing a single one
No, I'm
of
saying how many
those,
they
yeah.
have to do to get the money to pay you.
I don't know. What's the deal on that?
They make a lot of money. off
This
those
sounds
things.
so shady.
Ooh. Well then! But here's the thing though, his past comments regarding Saudi was him showing his political stance against them. And I'm not here to discuss politics on this channel, but I think we can all universally agree on this opinion, and that is the fact that it's a pretty rare case to see someone majorly change their political view on something. And for a guy like Punk, who is pretty open about his political and social views, please tell me what changed his view about Saudi. Then there was the Ring of Honor incident where Kevin Owens admitted that CM Punk got pissed at him for wrestling with a t-shirt.
People know me for wrestling in a shirt. And Gabe, before I started Ring of Honor, told me, can you wrestle just in the singlet? Because I don't want guys wrestling with shirts on my show. Even though Homicide did and plenty of people did. I'm like, yeah, alright, whatever. After a couple months of wrestling without the shirt at Ring of Honor, I asked Gabe, I'm like, can I just wrestle with the shirt on? It's like, I just feel more comfortable. Like, I feel like I can be myself. When I don't have the shirt, I just feel like I'm this wrestler dude. And Gabe was like, yeah, fine, whatever. But it wasn't yeah, fine, whatever. Because he went and told Punk what I said. And then that afternoon before the show, when I was going to wrestle Vordell Walker, but that afternoon, Punk just made a crack about me wrestling in a shirt. But whatever, I didn't care, you know. I think Punk and I were on good terms. It was fine. I did the match in the singlet, and I came to the back, and I was blown to shits. I was blown up. But Punk was just standing there looking at me. And I was blown, and I figured, oh, I'm going to, you know, I'll joke with him. I'll joke back. And I said, are you happy now? But I guess he took it like I was trying to show him up, which I wasn't trying to. I was literally trying to have a relationship with this guy and just joke around with him. He got very upset. He yelled at me and he said I was disrespectful and all this stuff. And
yet 2 decades later, he's doing the exact same thing. He was emotional when he was told that he was main eventing the first night of WrestleMania 41. Oh boy, I sure hope he's never made a statement mocking the concept of WrestleMania having 2 nights.
And listen, pal, if you think the grass is so green around the other side, be my guest. Go ahead, leave. Main event night 4 of a buy one, get one free extravaganza.
Oh my gosh! He was vocal about top guys like The Rock always coming in to steal opportunities.
But the fact that Dwayne is in the main event of WrestleMania next year and I'm not makes me sick.
But doesn't say anything when The Rock comes back to try and steal Cody's main event spot at WrestleMania. You know, the same thing The Rock did to him in 2012? And it's even crazy because even for such a great feud with Drew McIntyre, WWE had their Hell in a Cell match open the show to a pay-per-view called Bad Blood in favor of a normal tag match with the Bloodline going up against Roman and Cody Rhodes. All because The Rock could show up, then show us 3 fingers, then lie to us and act like this was all part of his plan when really there was no plan at all. CM Punk said he didn't want to go back to the WWE, and yet he did. And while yes, he's come back to a very different regime, Vince was still in charge of the company. And even worse is, he was willing to come back to WWE properly in 2019 while Vince was around and while the product was still in its worst shape.
This has to be 2018 or 19.
Wow.
You know, and it's just because Vince just started calling. I had agents. They were telling me, hey, they want to talk to you, and I was like, whatever, I'm not interested. You know, and then Vince just started calling me. He was like, hey, I'm eliminating the middleman. Like, we gotta, you know. And I was just like, this is insane, you know. And it just so happened that, like, oh, well, I'm gonna be here. All right, we can get there. You know, oh, okay, all right. And we had a meeting, and we had a handshake agreement, and then he ghosted me.
This was around the same year that had Roman Reigns being forced down our throats to be the next John Cena. Part-timers taking the young guy spots were at an all-time high. The big controversy with WWE partnering up with Saudi. The product was an all-time blow creatively. All of that, and yet Punk was still open to sign with them. So I leave you guys to discuss this. Is CM Punk truly a changed man, or is he a hypocrite? I feel he's on the side of both wheels, where he's gotten much older and he's gotten tired of being the grumpy old man who's constantly complaining about everything. But I'm also on the side to agree that he can also be a very big hypocrite. But I think the bigger issue regarding this is, well, his silence. For a man that's been known to be a loudmouth with his views, has gotten more quiet the more he's gelled into the new environment of WWE. He's chronically online, and we know that he sees what we say on the internet. He just chooses to ignore and not acknowledge it. Which, you know, it's always good to ignore the hate, but it's another thing when your own diehard fans, including myself, are questioning what his identity is. I'd be somewhat fine to accept the changes that Punk has made to himself, but the change feels too quick and polished, not even going into detail as to why those changes happened, which I feel we kind of deserve to know after he's been so public about everything. So, like, why be quiet now? But as of right now, we're just left with a big branded line of, I'm older and I've changed, and we're just left to accept that excuse. So is this a new and improved CM Punk, or has he just accepted the system that he couldn't fight anymore? Because if you can't beat him, you join him. Now keep this in mind, by no means this is a CM Punk hate video. This is just me, a longtime CM Punk fan, wanting reassurance of what his role model has become. I think as of right now, Punk's mindset is to make the most amount of money before he retires, working on some movies as it seems to be his next passion project, and then hopefully down the line he can work with Shawn Michaels and run NXT himself. In his first AEW promo, he stated that he wanted his run to be about himself, but also take the time to elevate the new talents, and you can see that he still has that mindset to this day. He's currently doing the best effort he can to put over Braun Breaker. He's taking the time to train the NXT guys and offer his wisdom, because in his words,
I'm back because I want to work with that young talent that had the same passion that I had stamped out.
But then there's also this important message to remember.
So I'm going to go ahead and retire the nickname Voice of the Voiceless, because I don't need to be that anymore. This place has a voice, and there's people back there that listen.
He knows he's no longer the voice of the voiceless anymore, because the voiceless can now stand up and speak for themselves now. We're in the time where the rise of social media has helped people to be more confident in speaking out about issues that we just can't bypass. Our voices were the reason that got Daniel Bryan his WrestleMania moment. Our voices were the reason that got Cody Rhodes his WrestleMania main event match that was stolen from The Rock. Our voices helped R-Truth get his job back. We can all get what we want if we just side our differences for just one moment and get together to help fight for a better product. But that's all from me, folks. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked it, hit that like button, as it truly helps this channel. And I'm recording this before I upload my Goldberg video, so I'm assuming by the time that this video is uploaded that we get to this channel's goal of 200 subs, which, if so, thank you guys so much. It is still insane to me that we even got this far so quickly. Subscribe now if you're new here. Let's get on the road to 215 subscribers. And until next time, ciao!